So if I could ask everyone to please take their seats, we'll get started. Just a moment till everyone has their seats. Just another second before everyone's seated. So, all right, well, good morning, everyone. You ready for a whole day of contact with Bashar? Me too. Well, welcome, and we're so happy to have you join us for this special event, especially since this session is entitled Bashar's Birthday Gift. And in essence, we are celebrating Bashar's birthday today, 11/11, which corresponds in a sense to the date of his birth. And so we always look forward to having a little party for Bashar, and we're so happy that all of you can join us for that. In fact, if you'll see in the back, there's a big birthday bag, for Bashar, and on the table are little empty cards waiting for your messages for Bashar, your birthday messages for him. So if you want to give him a message, you can fill out one of the little cards and then stick it in the bag, and we'll give it to him and read them to him after the event. So, so it's a great day. And what Bashar decided to do for his birthday was to actually give us a gift. And so I'm not even going to say much about that. I'm just going to let him share with you what he would like for his birthday. We also have some additional events coming up in the future in Los Angeles on December 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. On Friday night, the session is entitled Window of Discovery, 2018 to 2020. And Bashar is going to be sharing a little bit about what we can expect coming up in the next couple of years, because it's already been pretty exciting. And as he's described it, if you relate to it in the way as if you're a kayaker going down the river and you're on the rapids now, and so it's all about keeping your center and keeping a positive attitude and interpreting the negative in a way that transforms it into becoming positive. And in fact, that's what we're all here to do anyway, is to transform darkness into light. And so any darkness that you encounter in the coming years, this is something that will be good training for everyone to transform it into light. And then on Saturday, the session is entitled The People's Choice. And Bashar is going to, he's already asked me to prepare 3 questions that we would like to explore in detail that he hasn't really gone into very deeply. So I'm soliciting your interest too. So if you send a question into events@bashar.org, then we'll take a look at all the questions that you guys also suggest. And then that day, we will present him with 3 topics, and then we'll vote to decide which of the 3 we're going to discuss. A little more audience participation in that one. And then on Sunday, Bashar is doing a session entitled The Science of Spirit. And this is all about what is God? What is the relationship between metaphysics and spirituality and God and science? And so I think this will be a very interesting topic, because we're really getting more and more into how consciousness materializes into physical reality, and how does that relate to the idea of God and source and all that is. So again, he's always bringing forth cutting-edge information, and that weekend, it sounds like it's going to be a really great one and it'll be kind of our Christmas celebration too. So we hope you can join us there in Los Angeles. So just to give you a little information about how it's going to work today, I believe our break is going to be somewhere around 12:30 probably, till 2 or 2:30. We'll let you know at the time that it comes. And in the meantime, after he delivers the monologue, of course, he will open it up to questions. So we will have Daryl pick some questioners, and when you come to ask a question, please stand over here, let Karma guide you about getting close to the mic. And then when you're done, if you wouldn't mind going back this way so that you don't walk in front of Bashar. And also just to remind everyone, please turn off your cell phones. And please no recording. Emmy and Gary are doing a fabulous job recording and giving us the highest audio and video quality that we can imagine so that Bashar is with us forever in another way, captured on film and available to you. And of course, there's discounted price for those attending today if you want to purchase it, as well as many different CDs and DVDs in the back, and crystals and all kinds of things. So everything at a discounted rate here at the event. So before we start, I wanted to show you a video, because one of the things that Bashar has done for us is create a 5-day guided meditation series that involves swimming with dolphins and whales. The dolphin workshop is happening in February in Kona, Hawaii, the 3rd week in February. And the 2nd week in March will be in the Dominican Republic for a 7-day live-aboard experience, where you literally are 80 miles out to sea in the Bahamas area. It's actually the Bermuda Triangle. And there's thousands of humpback whales there. They're breeding, they're giving birth, females, and it is the most awesome, amazing thing to have eye-to-eye contact with whales under the water. So we were just going to show you a couple short videos so you can see what it's like for both the dolphin and the whale workshop.
Will you swim in the same ocean? Swim in the same ocean with me? Oh yes, swim in the same ocean. Swim in the same ocean with me. Together we'll play. Our distant lands won't seem so far away. We share the water of the same sea. How much closer we'll be when you swim in the same ocean with me. Swim in the same ocean. 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 May our hearts beat together by the same embrace of sunlight and breathe. And when night falls upon
there may be many islands of land, there is only one ocean that surrounds them all. And the dolphins and the whales are connected to all places because they know it is all one sea, one ocean, one world.
We explode together like the beat of just one heart, and you feel close to me when we share the water of the same sea. Oh, how happy we'll be when you swim in the same ocean with me.
So the first video you saw was from the Dolphin Workshop in Kona, Hawaii, and then the second one was in the Dominican Republic on that big boat. That's the boat you live on with a big picture window. You can lay in bed and literally watch whales go by sometimes. And we do all kinds of what are called soft water encounters, where you're in the water, you can see we're not swimming, we let the whales come to us. Usually the moms use us for babysitters. And they do, they're down there kind of sleeping, you know, and the babies come up and they circle around the surface breathing, and they'll usually come over and check us out and look at us. Sometimes they get really frisky. We find ourselves backpedaling a little bit like, woo. But we also see things like singing whales, whales that are in what are called rowdy groups, where they're 10, 12 whales will be fighting for a female, and lovers sometimes that will dance. We call them dancers. They will be perpendicular in the water, dancing together. It's amazing. It's amazing. So anyway, so if either of these call to you, please let us know, and we'll be happy to give you more information. So now the reason that we're all here. It's my great pleasure to introduce to you the very talented Channel 4 Bashar, Daryl Enka. So if your name is called, just raise your hand and they'll bring you a little orange ticket.
You're all sticky.
Eric Bernard. Barnall? That's you. Okay, good. Lucky you. Stephanie Rosa.
Keep your hand up so they can find you and give you the ticket.
Flavia Tatai.
They used sticky notes for these this time. They're all sticking together.
Ravi, R-A-V-I. It's to add more interest. Kind of like when they give those dogs, you know, the Kongs with the food in it. And it takes a really long time to...
Okay.
Mayuki, P-A-H-V-I-Z. That one's really got me. B-R-E-D-I-E, Brady, R. That's you, okay. Peter G. Gee, Peter, you got picked.
We'll do these two, and then we'll pick more if we need to.
Okay. Simone Guta.
Down there.
And Erin Elliott. There's a lot of girls this time, huh? I remember the last time there was like all men. I don't know. Must be in the air. Anyway, we'll wait until everybody gets their ticket. Oh, can I hand that back to you? Aw.
I read something recently that was talking about some of our odd human customs, and balloons was one of them. Because it was like, here, have a plastic bag of my breath. It's like, Thank you.
God.
That's a wonderful gift. It's a keeper.
Well, see, there's something really deep in that, right?
there is.
Sharing your breath
Sharing
with
your breath.
another. Okay, I like that, Daryl. That is amazing. So, well, thank you so much for coming and doing this, and tuning into Bashar and sharing all of his wisdom blended with yours.
I get some credit. Okay.
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank
You know, it's not too many people who are two people, right? I mean,
At least not out running around free. That are not in asylums or something. Perfect timing. Couldn't have been better time.
and on that remark, I'll just say that we really appreciate that you are the other half of this talent.
I think somebody's trying to get our attention.
Yeah, that was to wake up Bashar in case he was in such a deep state of repose he forgot to come through. Okay, so again, thank you both very much, and we're looking forward to this exciting adventure today. Thank you.
Have fun. See you a little bit later. Oh, to take a day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right. All right, thank you. Oh, thank you. For the idea that we are presenting to you in this transmission today, we would like to present a present in the present for you that we have called the Circle of Self-Empowerment. This is a very powerful permission slip that you can utilize to harmonize and synchronize and amplify the vibrational frequencies of the neurological net in your brain. You will, at various times in your lives, depending upon what you're doing, what state you're in, experience many of these vibrational states that are listed on the papers that you have in your hands. But by going through them in a particular way, by focusing on them, by meditating on them in a particular way, you can increase the conductivity of your brain. And then create an overall effect that will allow for an experience of acceleration in your lives. Because when you train yourselves to get used to the relationship between all these different brainwave states and practice going through this spiraling circle of self-empowerment permission slip for about 15 minutes a day, up to you, but that's about the average time that will allow it to work best, then you can allow yourself to find that as you go through the course of your day, and as you shift from one state to another for a variety of reasons, it will give you more capability. It will enhance your ability to shift more smoothly, to be more conscious and aware of the state you are in, and also to shift to those states more consciously, more intentionally when you need to. Thus, allowing you to access what you need exactly when you need to in a more aware state, utilizing these different brainwave states as tools to improve your perception, to enhance your sensitivity to receive higher frequency energies and information and messages that are important and relevant for your journey, your theme of exploration in this life. So let us now take you through briefly how this permission slip will work. Now, as you can see, there are 7 basic brainwave states that we are covering in this permission slip. We begin with the lowest frequency, that is called epsilon. Now, something that needs to be understood. Even though epsilon is the lowest frequency at only about 1/2 cycle per second, it is one of the most powerful frequencies in your paint box of the brain, because it lays a foundation not only for all the interim frequencies above it, but when you reach the highest frequency in this exercise, the lambda frequency, between 100 and 200 cycles per second in your brain, there is a particular and specific relationship between the epsilon low frequency and the lambda highest frequency that we will explain in a few minutes as we go through this particular permission slip, as we explain the different levels. Next, above the epsilon level, you have the delta level, which you more often than not will experience when you're asleep, in a deep sleep or a deep healing state. Then you will find the theta level, which will allow you to experience certain states of cognition, awareness, precognition, psychic functioning, and so forth, connecting you in a very specific way to informational access that exists within creation. Then you have the alpha level, which allows for a profound state of relaxation and alignment between the body and the mind and the spirit. And then you have the beta state, which is what you would call your typical waking state, that which most of you are in right now in general, that allows for the ability to perceive and experience your physical reality through your personality construct in a very clear and concise way. And then you have the gamma state, 40 cycles a second up to 100, that allows you the opportunity to connect to different dimensional levels of awareness and information. This is what has typically been called the channeling state, so that when you are doing something you're passionate about, something you love to do, you will find that you will typically be somewhere in that gamma range. Now, some individuals on your planet will recognize that there is gamma and that there is high gamma, so you can, if you wish, split the idea between 40 cycles per second and 100 cycles per second into 2 groups, if you wish, but you don't have to do that. Nevertheless, it allows you the connectivity to other dimensional awareness, other levels of consciousness, other beings that might operate on the same level in other realities and make connections not only to your higher mind, but to other consciousnesses as well. And then there is the lambda state, 100 to 200 cycles per second. That is a state of hyperconductivity that allows you to truly experience connection to creation, connection to source, what you would call pure inspirational insight, pure revelatory insight, and many other phenomena. These are general representations, and you have a little bit more of a detailed explanation of each of these levels in your hand on these papers. But the most profound thing to understand when you arrive at the lambda state, say for example operating at about 200 cycles per second in your brain, where everything is quite well synchronized and harmonized and organized in such a way as to synthesize and process information and awareness at a very high level, something profound happens here. There is a deep connection between the highest state, the lambda state, and the lowest state, the epsilon state. That is why you can see on the spiral in the diagram that there is then, when you reach the very center of the spiral, it crosses over directly back to the epsilon state. They are linked in a specific way, like the following illustration. So, imagine in your mind the idea, say, of the epsilon state as a very slow wavelength like this, 1/2 cycle per second, or 1 cycle every 2 seconds, very slow. But now imagine the idea of the lambda state, very high, vibrating very quickly. But the idea is that when you reach the highest levels, the lambda state itself, something very interesting happens. There is a harmonic relationship that begins to reveal itself in the following way. Whereas you might not perceive in the other states anything but the pure frequency itself, let's say in gamma, going along 40 to 100 cycles per second. When you get above 100 to 200 in the lambda state, not only is the vibrational frequency going like this, moving forward in time, but it's also going like this, exemplifying and illustrating the foundational level that underlies it of the epsilon state. So you have a very fast frequency moving on a wave that is very slow, as if it is being carried by that wave. So they are interlinked at that point and form a circle, a cycle that amplifies itself, boots itself back up, and continues to evolve and revolve and cycle through your brain waves, your chemistry, your neurology, the electrochemical, informational transmission sources within you. So this is the idea behind this particular permission slip, the circle of self-empowerment, is that when you start to meditate for 15 minutes, starting with the epsilon frequency, and you can find actual representations of all of these frequencies on your internet if you wish to actually hear them through your ears, but even just focusing on the idea of the epsilon state by looking at where that spiral begins, and slowly over that 15 minutes following that spiral through all the different frequencies, being aware of what each of those frequencies are for and what they represent, what they reflect, what they symbolize, what they allow you to experience. As you go and follow that spiral over the course of that 15 minutes, give yourself time to really feel out and live in and immerse yourself in each of those frequency ideas. Approximately 2 minutes each, roughly, to get your 14, 15-minute meditation. Going through them, all 7 of them, and spiraling down to the center. And then at the very last, in the very center, when you reach that center of the high lambda frequency, when the coil is wound very tight, allow yourself to feel that burst as energy and information goes out from you into the cosmos, but also then goes inward and cross-connects back again to that epsilon frequency. But knowing that on top of that is the lambda frequency. And allow the two to merge and mesh until you softly allow the epsilon frequency to come back and dominate. And then relax. And you have given your neurological net in your brain a particular workout, a particular kind of exercise to get it to start being more familiar with the range in that order, so that again you can create smoother transitions from one state to the other. And as you do this over the course of 1 to 2 to 3 months, if you wish, up to you, your pace, it's fine, trust your imagination, but we're giving you the general idea of how this works. And 14 to 15 minutes is all that's necessary in any given day. That's all. Beyond it kind of gets fuzzy in the way that your brain processes things. So 15 minutes is the transition time for your brain to optimally absorb the energy of this permission slip. So just go through it that way, gently, softly, with fun, feeling those feelings, those vibrations in your imagination, understanding what each reflects and symbolizes and represents within you. And over time, you will start to feel yourself shifting to these different frequencies as you need to during the course of any given day, and will start to develop more ability to actually shift yourself to those frequencies when you need to, with very, very, very little work or effort involved. It just will be something that will snap to that level over time. You'll get used to it, and thus you can more consciously guide your brainwave frequencies into the proper states you need to be receiving what you need to receive that is representative from that state. Does this make sense? All right, so use it as your imagination instructs, as your higher mind guides. Trust how it will work for you. It can be altered slightly here and there. We're giving you the general average that works for most of you. So have fun with this. You will find some profound effects happening in your life. Again, one of which may be an extreme increase and expansion of the organizing principle of synchronicity, bringing you exactly what you need, exactly when you need it. So happy birthday. We thank you for allowing us to give you this gift this day of your time, and we would like to continue sharing with you now for the gift that you are giving us in allowing us to experience each and every one of you. Please begin with your questions and dialogues if you wish.
So if a couple of questioners would like to be in the wings over here, we can go ahead and get started. Who would like to go first?
Greetings, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
All right, I have a couple questions for you.
Yes.
I recently read a book called Cosmic Voyage by Courtney Brown.
Yes.
Are you familiar with this book?
Familiar enough.
Okay, within it, it goes through the technique of scientific remote viewing.
Yes.
I was wondering two things about this book. One is, in the book, they reference Greys quite a bit.
Yes.
And he contacts the Federation, where there's a past Grey group, there's a current, a present Grey group, and a future Grey group.
Yes, the Grey Federation.
Yes.
Yes.
Are you part of the future gray group that he speaks of in there?
Not so much exactly the grays, because we are hybrids,
Okay,
not
yes.
grays. But we are an extension of the future gray group.
Okay. One thing he talks about in there is how the Greys are doing the hybrid program, and that's what people think the abductions are about, I guess.
Yes, for the
Okay.
most part, that is true.
Okay. And then the scientific remote viewing seems fairly interesting, where you kind of leave your body and can explore
Yes.
all around.
Yes.
I was wondering if you have any comments on, or tips, I should say, for somebody, like a crash course, I would say.
You want to crash?
A crash course
While you're
in
floating around?
scientific remote viewing.
It will work slightly differently for different people, but to some degree you will find that if you can give yourself the opportunity to really become very familiar with that lambda state, it is conducive of out-of-body experience.
Okay, thank you.
So you might want to really immerse yourself in that frequency and
Right.
see what happens.
That's what I was thinking when you were going through that. How
And also, do it when you are about to go to sleep,
okay,
because then you are preparing, in a sense, to detach and expand your focus beyond the physical world. So the lambda frequency might be able to guide you into the type of lucidity that you might require in the so-called dream state to allow you to know that you are dreaming. And once you know you are dreaming, you are, in a sense, out.
now I find when I start to realize that I'm dreaming, I wake up.
The lambda state can help you stay in that state.
Okay. Now I'll move on to my second question. I recently got a 3D printer,
Oh, all right.
and trying to come up with some very interesting ideas of things to make.
Yes.
And I have heard you speak of your cone within an upside cone idea.
That's a very, very basic version of the space-time antenna. There are more sophisticated versions.
Right. So with just the plastic that you can use in a 3D printer,
Yes.
I was wondering if you thought if there is an interesting shape to make.
Besides the one you just described.
Yes. Or what to do with it.
All right. Well, yes. If you wish, you can create what is typically referred to on your planet as a Merkaba,
Okay.
a tetrahedron pointing up, interpenetrated by a tetrahedron pointing down, each side of the tetrahedron being made as what you and your science calls a Sierpinski gasket.
Okay.
Do you understand this term?
I was looking up pyramids, and I saw a Sierpinski pyramid where it was pyramids making a pyramid.
The idea is if you take an equilateral triangle and then you put another equilateral triangle in it upside down, and then in all those spaces put another equilateral triangle that fits, and another, and you keep doing that smaller and smaller and smaller,
Yes.
you have a Sierpinski gasket. In a sense, what you're doing is creating a fractal antenna.
Okay.
And if the tetrahedrons, which are made of equilateral triangles, yes, 4 of them, are made with Sierpinski gasket equilateral triangles, and you have another one pointing down, interpenetrating through it, so that you essentially have a 3-dimensional 6-pointed star.
Yes.
That is a more sophisticated format for the space-time antenna. It forms, in a sense, the bones of it. Now, making it out of plastic may not necessarily allow it to perform as it needs to, but you could certainly use it as a mold.
What is an ideal
A
material?
conductive material,
Okay.
such as copper, will do to give you some effects that you can begin to measure until your understanding becomes more sophisticated.
So what do I do to, what kind of tests do you do? What would you put, like a wish inside of it and
A wish?
focus on it?
No. You actually give it a little bit of an energy boost with a battery.
With a frequency.
Yes, and then you see what happens in the output.
And so you test different frequencies.
You do.
I have tested resonant frequencies and transformers before. Is the idea to find a resonant frequency where it actually starts to buzz?
Yes.
Okay.
And that will tell you something about the wavelength and the frequency that the particular space-time antenna you've built will operate on, and how you can use it to magnify and amplify the small amount of energy you've put into it to get a greater output than you put in.
And what would I be looking for as an effect?
Greater output of energy.
Oh, a greater output of energy, as in like a free energy device.
Well, in a sense, you're tapping into higher frequency energy and allowing the space-time antenna to act as a step-down transformer so that it will translate into your reality in a frequency that you can use, like electrical flow.
Okay. And nothing to do with like kind of a wishing machine?
No.
Okay.
No. For that,
For a wishing machine,
You
what
need
would
a
you
well.
do? A well?
yes,
Okay.
a gravity well.
One interesting thing that I came up with was a pyramid, and supposedly the king's chamber of the pyramid is the power point of the pyramid.
Yes, and that is also what was used to allow initiates to experience out of body. By going and lying in the chamber that is created of certain proportions, and you allow yourself to go into the gamma state and the lambda state, the box acts as a magnifier, the chamber acts as a magnifier to focus and reflect and amplify that vibration to allow those initiates to have experienced out-of-body travel, which is what the priests mostly used to gather the information that they needed in order to create sophisticated technologies.
And so to use this device, what I created was, I called it a Post-it note wishing pyramid, where a Post-it note with your wish could be slid into where the king's chamber location is. And do you think that that is kind of a valid idea for a wishing machine, and how would you
If you
operate
can truly identify with the paper and the wish therein as a simulacrum or representation of you in the box, then yes, but we wouldn't necessarily again call it a wishing machine.
Okay.
Because the idea is that it's not about having a particular expectation, it's about opening up to the organizing principle of synchronicity to bring you what you need, but it can amplify that manifestational experience if you don't put too many conditions on it.
Okay.
Yes?
Yes.
All right. Does that help?
It does help. My wish that I've had in there is for good news to be abound.
I just gave you a lot of good news.
You did. Well, thank you so much, and I know there's other people that need to speak.
All right. Thank
but
you.
I appreciate you, and I do think of you as a mentor.
And all of you to us as well in a variety of ways you can't even imagine.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
So I have a couple of questions for you. So first I want to tell you that the first time and the last time that I saw you was a year ago, and I was in Vegas.
Yes.
And my name got pulled for a question too, and I was the second person, and I had a feeling that it was coming.
Yes.
And this time I was pulled again, the second person, and I had a feeling it was coming.
All right.
So I
You're on a
actually-
roll.
Yes, I am. Thank you. So I was actually just with a psychic about a week ago, and she told me that I came from a history of intuitive women, and she told me a lot of different things about myself, including how I died in a past life.
Remember what we say about past lives.
You know, you told me this last time, and I don't remember exactly that it's sort of an alternate
All right.
universe.
Let us
more.
give you a brief reminder.
Okay.
In essence, mechanically, there's no such thing. You can have an experience of having had a past life, but do you remember that we talk about the fact that everything exists at once?
Yes.
So if everything, and I mean everything, exists all at the same time in different vibrational frequency domains, but they all exist simultaneously, that means everyone does too. Even the people you think of as being in the past or in the future or in a parallel reality, they all exist now as the people that they are. So you have never been any of those other people as a person. From the oversoul perspective, of which all the different people are extensions Only the oversoul can say, yes, I am that person, and I'm that person, and I'm that person, and I'm that person. But from the personal level, you are your own unique extension of that oversoul, just as other people are. You might go back to the same oversoul, so to speak, as another person, but you still have your own personality, and you've never been another person. So the idea is, because you exist now in a space-time focused framework, what you do is you make connections to the people you believe that can provide experience and information and energy to you from their lives that will aid and assist you in the theme you're exploring in this life. But because you exist in a space-time framework, you interpret that energetic connection that you're creating in the present as a memory, and therefore think that that's in the past and that that happened to you in the past, when in fact it's just simply happening to that person, but you're making a connection to draw from their experience because you believe it assists you in this life. Now, these things are not static. They're always dynamically changing because you are. So to use your colloquial language, you actually don't have the same past lives necessarily from moment to moment to moment, because you're always unplugging and plugging in and unplugging and plugging in and unplugging and plugging in as you need to. It's a dynamically changing relationship. But from your space-time framework, you can create the experience of having a life, dying, living again, dying, living again, dying. You can create that as an experience because it's a perspective of how you're looking at the structure. But it's not an accurate description of the actual mechanism at work. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot more sense than it did last year, so thank you for
All
clearing
right.
that up.
By example, this is why we use the illustration to prove the point. This is why 50 different people can say, I was Cleopatra. Because obviously, if they all really were those other people, 50 people couldn't say that. But because 50 people or 100 people or 1,000 people or 1,000,000 people can energetically link to the individual you know as Cleopatra, your assumption that you used to be that person is just your space-time way of saying you've made a connection to that particular person for your own reasons.
That makes a lot of sense.
I know, that's why I said it.
So going off of that then, a lot
Yes.
of the things that the psychic told me were true. She told me things about my current past.
They're true, it's
that-
just being interpreted in old-fashioned terminology.
Well, so my question to you then is, based on everything that she did tell me during this session, how much do you perceive of it to be accurate?
That's not the question. The question is, how much of it do you perceive to be relevant?
A lot of it.
Then that's what you take,
Okay.
and that's what you use. And what isn't relevant right now doesn't need to be thought of right now. If at any moment it needs to become relevant in your life, you'll remember it.
Okay.
Yes?
Thank you. So my second question is about my business.
Yes.
So I started a business about 2 years ago.
Which is what?
Thank you. Which is running a website on music festivals.
Oh, all
And
right. How exciting.
It is very exciting, and I love it. It is my passion. It's what I wake up thinking about. It's what I think about all the time.
All right.
The downside to it is
I
that
beg your pardon? You can't have a downside to passion. If you are
Well,
having a downside,
struggle.
you can't have a struggle in passion.
obstacle.
If you have an obstacle, if you have a struggle, if you have a downside, the point is you're not in your passion at that moment.
Well, then let me clarify, because I
Thank
don't
you.
think I'm doing a very good job.
You're doing a wonderful job of pointing out
The area
that there are
of
times you're not in your
improvement-
passion.
The area of improvement
Yes.
is the monetary side of it. Right now, I'm currently financing my own job with a day job that I'm not passionate about. I enjoy doing it.
But you believe you need it at the moment, and
Yes,
that's fine.
and I don't believe that I want to take money from investors because I don't want somebody to tell me how to run my business.
Investors don't have to tell you how to run your business. You need a silent investor.
Okay. And
Did you not know such a thing existed?
you know what? I haven't really even looked into it because
Well then, maybe you need to do some research.
you are very right. And can you tell me, Bashar, do you see this business thriving?
If you stay in your state of passion, whatever needs to thrive will thrive. Whatever is irrelevant to it will go its own way.
Okay.
And remember, if you focus too much on only one expression of abundance, you will close the door on all the other expressions that could allow you to do what you need to do when you need to do it. So don't just make it about the money. Open up to all forms of support and abundance that could come into your life synchronistically, instead of slamming the door on them because you think that the money is the only way you can do what you need to do.
And that's what I have been doing is I've opened up so many opportunities. I have so many amazing contributors on my team, so
right.
much support.
All right.
And it's just, when can I make this my full time?
That's completely in your hands when you believe that your excitement, when you know for a fact, when you feel it in your bones, when it's in your behavior, that your excitement can support you. It will. Until such time, don't give up your day job.
Okay, thank you. And I have one last question. My last question pertains to my future. I was hoping that you could...
You mean a probable future?
A probable future,
You do
yes.
know there's no such thing as a prediction of the future, yes?
Yes.
All right.
So my probable future...
A probable future.
A probable future. So I believe that I have found my twin flame, and I want to hear some feedback from you. Can you comment on this? Is this energy that I'm feeling correct?
Do you understand that you might be using an outdated definition of twin flame?
Yes, because I am taking the definition from my psychic, who you've told me the past life expression that she uses may be a little inaccurate.
Anyone at any moment who reflects to you the most important things you need to know about yourself to become more of who you are is at that moment your twin flame and your soulmate, even if they're your enemy. So yes, we understand that there can be arranged flames in the way that you are expressing it, and to some degree, the information and experience that you may get out of interacting with such an individual will serve you if you use it in the way that it needs to be used in all relationships. That you are given what you need to be more of yourself, and that you give what they need to be more of themselves. Then for as long as both of you or all of you are willing to grow in that understanding together, then you will continue to reflect what you need to one another. If for some reason that should stop on the part of anyone in the relationship, then you might need to find another flame at that moment.
Got it.
So, attract all the flames you want, just don't burn yourself.
Sounds good. Thank you, Bashar.
You're welcome. Some of you attract just enough twin flame to cook your own goose. It's not about holding your hand in the fire longer than you need to. It's about knowing that the most loving thing you can do for anyone is to be yourself and demonstrate the consequences of the choices that everyone is making. That's the most loving thing you can do, even if it means that the twin flames need to part.
Hi, Bashar.
And you good day.
Happy birthday today.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions today.
Yes.
I see your daily messages in the internet. Somebody is reading in his blog.
Yes.
And according to that, animals are more connected and can sense the universe or unseen world more than human beings.
Animals?
And, yes.
Yes, very
And-
often.
Okay, then. Oh, I'm so nervous. Okay.
Why?
So,
What are you nervous about?
okay.
Am I a big bad monster alien? Am I going to devour your soul?
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So.
I've eaten you up and spit you back out.
Okay.
Are you okay now?
Yes, I'm okay. Thank you.
All right.
Okay, so they can sense more universal unseen world more than human beings.
Not that you are not capable, it's just that they don't let the idea of the kind of thought processes that humans let get in the way get in their way. So you're just as capable. That's not what's being said.
Okay.
It's just that many humans have been taught to overthink things instead of really using the same kind of sensory apparatus that you all have and that animals have, but they don't get in their own way. Do you understand?
Yes. And also, according to the blog, the animals are living here with us for save the human beings to save the human beings. But we must produce the animals, we eat the animals.
Sometimes, sometimes not. It just depends.
Okay.
Just understand that you have to have a positive relationship, a respectful relationship, if such a thing is being done, so that you understand that as you are eating, you are being eaten by nature. Do you understand?
Yes.
When you take something into your body, that thing is taking you into its, because you become in a relationship with that. So it must be done respectfully in order to get the real benefits from it, if you do it at all.
Yes.
Now, as you evolve, you may stop doing it, but you don't have to force yourself to stop. You have to follow your natural body consciousness at whatever level you're at in order to sustain yourself.
Yes.
So it's not about forcing yourself to be more spiritual, which is an oxymoron. It's about letting it unfold in a natural, organic way. Yes?
Yes.
Does that help?
Yes. But we must produce the animals, and some animals are so suffer.
They don't have to suffer, no.
Okay.
Why should they have to suffer?
I don't want to make them suffer.
Well,
so
then don't.
I'm vegetarian. Then I don't eat meat.
That's up to you.
So, but what can we do to make a peace and harmony to all the living creature, like nature and the
You
animals?
can take whatever actions you are capable of taking to stop animals from suffering.
Okay.
And you can also take what actions you need to stop yourselves from suffering. Because remember, it's kind of that you're expressing a turnaround of what you call the golden rule. What you're willing to do to yourselves, you'll do to anything else. So when you create suffering within your own being, because you hold on to negative belief systems about yourselves of unworthiness and non-deservability, then feeling so badly about yourselves, it's a very small step toward making others feel badly, because you've had the saying on your planet for quite some time, misery loves company. So stop being miserable by giving up your negative definitions about yourselves, and then you will know there is no need to create any other form of misery anywhere in your reality. So start with yourselves, end the suffering within your own being, and express compassion for those that may still be creating suffering within their being and their reality experience. And bit by bit, you will change things. Yes?
Yes, I understand. Yeah, thank
All
you
right.
so much. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you.
Okay, that's all.
Yes, I know. Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
Annie, you good day.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
I have a question about genetics
Yes?
and intuition.
Yes?
I've been taking a course on beginning genetics at Stanford.
How exciting.
It's fun.
Oh, I believe you. It's fun.
Anyway, I've been, one of the exercises in the first part of the course was putting together if your mom and dad had certain genes, whether the trait would come through because whether it was recessive or dominant.
Yes.
So I was thinking, I wonder if intuition is carried along the genetic line.
Yes.
And in my family, my grandmother, I believe, is intuitive. I have aunts that are.
Are you intuiting that?
Yeah, well, I know that for sure because
Well, all right.
they have dreams that come true. And
Yes, yes.
my grandmother had dreams that come true.
Yes.
But out of my cousins,
Yes.
they don't talk about it.
Yes.
And my brother and I, we have the same mom but different dads.
Yes.
We're both intuitive.
Yes.
One sister, I don't think she is, and one sister definitely isn't.
All right.
So that would mean
At least not that she is exhibiting.
she's not exhibiting. She won't talk about it.
All right.
But so does that mean intuition is recessive and not dominant? Because if it was dominant, then everybody in my family would have some degree of it.
Yes, in general, but that's oversimplistic because there are many other factors that determine whether or not whatever might be in the genetic code would be recessive or dominant. And a lot of it has to do with themes that people choose to explore in having a physical incarnation.
So does that mean it could be dominant, but because it was...
Let me give you an example.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying it has to happen this way, but sometimes it does happen this way because people on your planet, when they don't know what the tools are to make the shift, will, from a higher level, choose to have a certain experience that will shift them, that will allow what might have been dormant to suddenly become dominant. So, for example, you hear stories where people do not express or experience the idea of any kind of psychic functioning throughout most of their lives or a large part of their lives, and suddenly they are in what you call an accident. And after the accident, suddenly they're psychic this and intuitive that, because they have, in a sense, shifted themselves in such a way that now is the time for that particular genetic trait to become dominant, when it wasn't time before. They have flipped a switch. They've turned it on. Always the potential was there, but it may not always be turned on. It may be somewhat dormant. And only when the timing is appropriate do they then create a scenario that allows them to flip that switch. So that may or may not happen in someone's life, but that's usually an indication, since they didn't exhibit it before and thus exhibit it after the accident, that it's always been there, it just wasn't switched on. You follow?
Yep, I think that makes sense because I don't think I exhibited any intuitive abilities as a child, and I sort of thought, well, it just sort of passed me by. I'm like my other cousins. But then after 2012, it sort of went into overdrive.
All right, well, you took advantage of the idea of that ending of one cycle and the beginning of another to switch it on.
Right.
Without necessarily having to damage yourself to do so.
Right. And so my other question related to that is my brother told me a couple years ago, and you've told me that I have hybrid children and everything.
Yes.
And he was visited.
Yes.
But I don't get, and he and my other two sisters were visited, and we don't live together because we had separate families and everything, but.
Yes. That doesn't stop them.
No, I know. Did they choose us because we have intuition?
You chose yourselves to be part of the program, and they chose you because you have certain kinds of genetic factors that are required for the creation of the template that would allow the hybrids to be built on that template that would give them some of those particular traits, yes.
But he was visited, where I
Yes.
don't remember my visitation.
That's all right, you don't
at
have
all,
to.
Except I sort of remember it being beamed up, and I actually thought I was astral traveling at a young age, and I didn't realize I was actually being abducted. But
All right. Yes.
but I don't think they have children,
Doesn't matter.
but I do.
Doesn't matter.
So how does that make sense with the
There
genetics?
can still be people who have certain genetic traits that can be added to the template, whether they themselves have children or not. Not everyone participates in the hybridization agenda in the same way. Some people don't necessarily give their DNA in that sense, but they have certain energy vibrations that will allow them to teach the hybrid children how to assimilate into your society more smoothly.
So why were they visited? Why did they have the visitation?
Well, there may be a number of different reasons. It can be for the extraction of genetic material. It can be to bring someone up to the ships to teach the children to create a class. It can be for a number of different things.
And so they took my DNA, but they didn't take theirs, but there could have been other reasons
But
why.
they can still read their frequencies.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't have to necessarily always be physical DNA to be able to incorporate a particular frequency of energy into the overall template. It just depends on what's been chosen and what's needed.
Because my brother's theme is he's really into Billy Myers, which sort of, like me, came, I think, later in life, too.
Yes.
Which is sort of interesting. Anyway, so my third question, final question is, you always talk about dreaming and how your civilization, I forget what you call it, is in some dream state.
Yes, we live in a dream state lucidly because we understand that physical reality is also just a dream.
So I was wondering, because all of my ET alien experiences have happened in a pure waking state.
Yes.
And I don't remember, or I must be dreaming, but I don't have any experiences, or I don't remember my dreams.
That's all right.
That's okay?
That's okay.
Do I need to try to, because I'm like, maybe I need to try to get into this lucid state?
Well, there are many ways to achieve that. Again, you can become simply lucid in the physical dream, if you wish,
How do I do that?
by following the formula. Act on your highest passion to the best you're able with zero assumption as to the outcome.
But what would it mean to be, so you would be lucid but awake, not dreaming?
You are dreaming right now.
No, I know, yeah, but
So become lucid in this dream means you understand that physical reality and experience and perceive physical reality to be a dream, an extension of your consciousness.
I sort of think of that anyway, because I have such
It's
like,
not about thinking about it. It's actually about experiencing it that way.
well, I have a sort of a wild, crazy thing with ETs and aliens anyway, and it's fine in my waking state, and I always wonder if it would get even weirder if my dream state, so I'm actually fine with just having it in my waking
My
state.
strongest suggestion would be don't worry about it.
Okay,
Just follow your passion to the best you're able. No insistence on a particular outcome. Everything that needs to happen that's relevant for you will happen in perfect timing. You're overthinking it a bit.
thank you, I do that a lot.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, Bashar.
And a you good day.
I have to say it's an honor and pleasure to speak with you today.
For us as well to speak with you.
So, my question is, I recently spoke to my higher self directly,
All right.
and they asked me
You're
to,
doing that right now anyway, but
Yes.
go ahead.
and they asked me to ask myself 2 questions,
Yes.
and
And
I
did
just-
you answer?
I thought about it, and I just wanted to know if what I think the answer is that
Well,
accurate?
What did you think? And what was the question?
I believe it was.
What was the question?
It was in regards to why is it so difficult for myself to have that longing sensation for a certain entity which I've never met.
And what was your answer?
I still don't know.
I thought you said you answered it.
I thought I did too, but I wasn't sure.
All right. What kind of an entity are you longing for?
I don't know.
Then how do you know the longing has anything to do with an entity?
That's what I was told.
Do you understand that you are also an entity?
Yes,
Maybe you're longing for yourself.
I believe so.
Now you have your answer.
Thank you.
What else?
In the next 3 years, what are the possible highest probabilities for my future?
You mean a probable future?
Yes.
That's up to you. What do you prefer them to be?
I have no idea.
That's a good start. Do you trust the way that your life unfolds?
Yes.
Do you trust that synchronicity is the organizing principle that will bring you the opportunities in the order in which you need to act on them?
Yes.
Then I guess you'll find out, won't you?
I guess so.
It's a process. It's not an answer book. It's a process. Go through the process so that you have a richer understanding of what it is you will experience.
Okay,
Whatever
thanks.
that may be. We're not going to pin it down for you.
Yes.
That wouldn't be of service to you.
And then for my last question is, how did the dinosaurs die?
Well, several different ways. Some of your scientists are generally correct in the idea that there was a major asteroidal strike on your planet that changed the environment and made for most of the saurian population an uncomfortable environment to continue in. However, they didn't really all die, as many of you know. Many of them evolved into what you now understand to be birds. Yes?
Yes.
So you still actually have dinosaurs. They're just now avian dinosaurs.
I see. So what, was it an asteroid that?
There was an asteroidal impact. In fact, there have been several. Plus, there are also other kinds of changes and extinctions that occur for a variety of environmental reasons, such as volcanic activity, such as certain gases that are released into the ocean that will kill off entire ecosystems. There's a combination of things going on, but there are sometimes obvious triggers, such as asteroidal impacts, that may begin such a cycle.
Okay. Thank
Does
you.
that help?
Yes, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Hi, Bashar.
Anna, you good day.
I was wondering if you would describe your birth.
Fun,
Yeah.
explosive, eye-opening, full of amazement, full of the visceral vibrational experience of 200 million collective minds welcoming me to the world through telepathic contact. What else would you like to know?
What is your body like when it came out? I don't know if it came out of somewhere or...
Well, no. It came out of an energy sphere. We used to procreate much like you do. But over the course of our evolution, we have gotten to the point where we are now what we call quasi-physical. We're sort of a blend of physical and non-physical, a blend of physical and spirit in a way. We still have what you would perceive to be bodies, but they feed only on energy, on light. When a birth in that sense is agreed upon, then between the individuals that are forming the relationship to create the avenue or the conduit for the birth, an energy sphere is created between them in the air.
How many individuals?
That depends.
It can be many.
It can, depends on what's going on. An energy sphere is created, and within that energy sphere, a body begins to form. Then the consciousness will associate itself with that body that has agreed to experience the incarnation, and then it will be born. And at what you call about age 3, it is relatively still small, but a fully formed individual that can go wandering the world seeking what it needs.
And does your quasi-physical body could it do yoga poses we could only dream of? Is it extremely flexible and...
Yes, it could. In fact, I can pass my own arm through my torso.
Wow. Can you detach your arm and give it a massage?
Some individuals can, yes.
Only some?
Well, it's not relevant for everyone to do so. Remember that we operate on pure synchronism, which means only the things that are relevant for an individual to experience are what they experience in life. And it may not be relevant for the theme that they're experiencing. Not everyone has to have the same abilities. In fact, it would remove individuality if we did.
Do you all have the same beliefs?
We all have the same general knowledge of how existence works. So we can see the nature and structure of existence. That's what we're describing to all of you. We're not sharing a philosophical point of view. We're actually describing an instruction manual for how reality works. We can see the structure of existence. So we're just describing an observation to you. It's not really a belief.
So you don't really have any beliefs?
We do have belief systems that work temporarily for a variety of different reasons. If we wish to have certain experiences that belief systems have to go hand in hand with, but it really goes beyond that because it's really more about knowing, which is above and beyond believing.
Okay, I have another question.
Yes?
Sometimes when a negative emotion comes up,
Yes?
I just say, well, there must be a positive reason.
Exactly.
Or I might say, well, everything is ultimately okay.
Yes, but that doesn't mean you should ignore it or gloss it over, because it is there for a reason. And the primary reason that you might experience what you're calling a negative emotion is to find out the negative definition that's giving rise to it. Because emotions can't exist on their own in a vacuum. There has to be a definition you're buying into as true in order to experience the emotion that results from the definition. So you can use the emotion to trace it back and find the definition by asking the question, what would I have to believe is true about myself in this circumstance in order to feel what I'm feeling? That's what having those emotions are for. You own them, you acknowledge them, and you understand that they're representative of something that you're buying into that you believe is true. Find out what the definition is, because if it's out of alignment with who you prefer to be, you need to identify it in order to let it go. And once you let it go, then your energy will change and the emotions you experience will change. It always works in this direction. First you have a definition and you buy into it as a belief. That generates emotions, thoughts, and behaviors. So any behaviors that you deem are out of alignment with what you prefer, any thoughts or feelings that are out of alignment, you can always ask that question. What would I have to believe is true in order to behave, think, feel the way I do? Find out what it is. That's what the process is for. To let go of the things that are not relevant for you, to streamline yourself, to lighten yourself up. That's what enlightenment actually means. To lighten yourself up and let go of things that are not relevant for you, to find out who you really are at your core. What's your essential self? Know thyself. That's the mantra.
Okay, so the function of just saying there must be a positive reason for this is just to lighten things up a little bit, but you still need to dig down and...
You still need to know what the reason is. Otherwise, if you're unaware of it, how are you going to let something go that you don't know what it is? You're not owning it. You're not aware of it. You can't change what you don't own.
But what if the negative emotion goes away after you say that? You know?
Does it really go away, though, or does it keep coming back?
Maybe temporarily it might.
Temporarily, which again means you may have simply put off what you will then encounter again later, because you haven't really found the reason why it's happening. If it really never comes back, then you may have developed a shorthand permission slip that really allows you to let go of the negative belief that was generating it. And that's fine if it works for you that way. But most of you don't work that way yet. So if you can, that's wonderful. But if it keeps coming back, that should be your first clue that you haven't really let it go.
Is that a stage in our evolution where it would be that easy to just say that?
Absolutely. Because you realize that you are the ultimate permission slip and you're making the changes anyway, so you don't then need any other artificial reflection or symbol in order to give yourself permission to let it go. Because you become aware of what they are. You're willing to acknowledge that you have certain negative ideas within you. Please do remember that as you expand your consciousness, You may not experience as much negativity, but you don't become less aware of negativity. You become more aware of negativity because you become more aware of everything in creation which has negative and positive and neutral. It's a trinity. The idea is that when you operate from the balance point at the center, you become much more aware of not only the positive choices, but the possible negative choices as well, because you're seeing more of existence. So it's about choosing what you prefer without invalidating what you don't, because what you don't prefer is just as valid in its own terms as what you do prefer, but you don't have to experience the effect of what you don't prefer as long as you realize that you're not invalidating it. Because invalidating it and putting a negative judgment on it is just adding to the negative energy. Because you're saying it has no value. That's negative. To say that a negative experience has no value is itself amplifying the negative energy. To recognize it has value gives you the opportunity to use it in the way you prefer positively and get the benefit from it by knowing it has to be there for a reason. But sometimes you may need to know what that reason is, what the actual definition is that generated that particular feeling. Yes?
Yes.
Does that help?
Yes, it helps.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
And a good day.
I have a question about social activism.
Social activism. Yes?
So what I mean is, and I mean it from the point of view of not from an ally point of view, meaning that not as someone who can sympathize, but often can't empathize.
Yes.
But what I really mean is from someone who's experienced certain struggles.
All right, well, how are you relating the idea of struggles to social activism?
So now my understanding could be flawed, so you can feel free to correct me at any time.
Speak up and be clear.
Okay, 1 second. Okay, there you go. So based off of my understanding, a soul chooses to incarnate
Yes.
to explore certain experiences.
Yes.
Or learn certain lessons.
To grow.
To grow, right?
To discover yourself from a new point of view.
So that soul picks the appropriate socio-political, economic circumstance
Yes.
to maximize that learning.
Yes.
Correct?
Generally speaking, sometimes very specifically. Sometimes they're willing to just be general, knowing that in the overall environment, maybe 5 or 10 things could still serve to allow them to explore the theme, and so they might leave it up to a synchronistic or random choice as to what exactly those parameters are. It just depends on the individual and what they're looking to do. But in general, yes.
Okay, so then that soul incarnates,
Yes.
which I might be oversimplifying.
Although, again, we're speaking linearly, but we'll go with it.
So they have this focused experience in
Yes.
these parameters of
Yes.
where social situations are.
Yes.
And then so they're born in a situation where their environment teaches them certain external beliefs
Yes.
that they first bring in.
Yes.
Then they believe those beliefs. They internalize those beliefs.
Yes, until they arrive at a point in their lives where if they choose to begin to move in the direction of awakening, they may find themselves then challenging those beliefs or those beliefs challenging them, yes.
Right. But often right before that step, there's the recreation of that in the way that your beliefs create your reality.
Yes.
You end up creating those experiences for yourself, further validating those beliefs that are ultimately
Well, in some
disempowering.
senses, further validating them, that's one way, or sometimes by continuing to create things that don't work for you long enough by realizing that that's not what works for you.
Right.
Not invalidating them, but just realizing it's not what you prefer.
So once you're there, and you
Yes.
realize you're experiencing something you don't prefer.
Yes.
Often I think what motivates a lot of activists, whether it be Martin Luther King or me,
Yes.
would be first self-empowerment.
Of course, it has to
Because-
begin there, or you can't help anyone else.
Right. But then there is a broader goal of wanting to empower the whole or making
Well,
it more
it's not
accessible.
exactly a want, but I understand what you mean. It's a need. It's a
Yes.
need to share who you are, a need to express who you are, giving others the opportunity to awaken to who they are.
Right.
But it's not something that you must insist must happen.
Right. So what I find now, and I'm
Yes.
not beyond this,
Yes.
is that often people, in pushing against a reality so strongly, they end up spinning their wheels
Yes.
in hurt and pain and anger.
Yes.
And really can't move past that. We see that every day in the news.
Yes.
So how could we apply your teachings and the laws that you talk about to truly and better reach those goals?
Well, again, you already expressed it. It's about knowing yourself and empowering your true self. Because when you understand that you are already as powerful as you need to be, and express your joy and passion in life and function as a living example to others that they could, by learning the same ideas, live that way too, then they will choose to change and match that frequency, and there's no struggle involved. You're just walking through life as a living example.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Because again, it's not about the fact that you need anyone to change. In fact, you can't change anyone.
Right.
And in fact, you never actually change the world you're in. You change yourself, and you shift to another version of Earth that is already more reflective of the change you made within yourself.
Right.
You understand?
So ultimately, we're not, if there is social change, social progress, it's not that we're solving the solution permanently forever. It's that we're leaving the possibility of all experiences open to anyone who chooses to resonate with certain realities.
Exactly, because then people can choose what they wish or prefer to experience and leave behind the realities in which people are experiencing something different.
Right.
It doesn't erase those realities, but it does remove the experience from your reality because it was never in your reality. You've removed yourself from a reality where those experiences are possible.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Is that helping?
Yes.
Does that answer your question?
Yes. Can I ask another question?
That was a question. You want to ask another one?
Yes.
All right.
So there are two experiences that I have that feel very similarly physically.
Yes.
One is when I'm opened up and expanded in my consciousness, and it feels like I'm channeling wisdom.
Well, you probably are.
And in those moments, my body sometimes shakes, just like higher
Yes.
energy frequency, you know?
Yes, because you're not really used to that frequency yet, and there may be a few little, well, let's just call them resistances.
Right.
And therefore, until you are really trusting it fully and allowing it to flow through you in a superconductive way, you may find that the resistances may sometimes make your body shake.
And so I have a similar physical response to sometimes when I hear really high consciousness information.
Exactly.
Or really empowering, like even if I listen to a podcast and I like what
Yes.
they're talking about.
Well, it's the same thing. It's high frequency energy, high frequency information. There's no difference.
And so what's the best way of acclimating physically to that higher frequency?
Acting on your highest passion to the best that you are able, with no insistence on the outcome. Because by acting on your passion, what are you doing? You're raising your frequency. You're getting used to a higher frequency. And it makes you a better receiver and processor and conduit of similar higher frequency energies. When we talk about the idea that that's the formula that activates the kit and say that this is the entire instruction manual, we mean it is the entire instruction manual. We're not leaving anything out.
Okay.
So that's the answer to all questions of that nature. Act on your passion. It'll activate all the tools in the kit, the driving engine, the organizing principle of synchronicity, the path of least resistance, the path that connects you to all expressions of excitement, that which supports you in life, the reflective mirror that reveals to you anything that's out of alignment with your preferred vibration, and by simply always choosing to stay in a positive state and give positive meaning, no matter what happens, you will always get the positive and beneficial effect of whatever manifests from the actions that you took. That's the entire instruction manual. We can always go into greater detail of each of those components to allow people to really wrap their minds around it, but that's all we're doing is breaking down the components of that instruction manual. There are no other instructions beyond it.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yes.
Does that help?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Thank you.
Can I ask one more question?
Well, I
In
guess
addition
that
to
was
the-
your last question because you just asked it.
Okay. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Trust your timing. Everything will be fine.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
Greetings from Brazil.
All right.
I was reading the book, the Blueprint for a Change,
Yes.
this week, preparing myself for this.
Oh, all right.
And you said in a book that we are all gods.
All,
Gods.
well, in a sense, yes. You are all aspects of one thing. So you're all the creators of your reality experience. You are all aspects of God.
Yes, I was wondering if this is a proof, like for a lack of a better word, that we have that we have free will.
Yes, of course you do.
Okay.
But you create your own destiny too. As we said, again, speaking linearly, before the life, you may create a theme that you will explore. That theme is what you will explore. That's your destiny, but you chose it. But within the exploration of that theme, that destiny, you have the free will to explore it however you wish. You can be happy, you can be sad, you can be fast, you can be slow, you can be up, you can be down, you can be backwards, you can be forwards, side to side, this or that. That's your free will exploring the destiny of the theme you chose.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yes.
All right.
I have another question regarding to
Yes.
the book. Is you said that one thing that we have here in our planet is guilt.
Yes.
And guilt is the worst. It's not the worst, but it's the opposite of love.
Yes.
It's exactly
because you're completely devaluing yourself.
Uh-huh. And
I'm not saying that you can't have a conscience. That's not the same thing as guilt. The idea is you can empathize and realize when you might be out of alignment and desire to bring yourself back into alignment, and that you might have taken an action that has consequences that are out of alignment with who you prefer to be. But feeling guilty about it only perpetuates the misalignment.
Okay.
It's knowing that you are learning something from having gone out of alignment and learned that you don't prefer to be out of alignment, and then bringing yourself back into alignment that precludes a need to feel guilt. But you can have a conscience and recognize that you are out of alignment.
Okay.
But if you add guilt to it, you're only making it take longer to come back into alignment. Because guilt is a devaluation of the fact that you went out of alignment. So you're heaping negativity on top of negativity. Instead of saying, oops, this is not what I prefer. I have now learned a lesson. I bring myself back into alignment. Therefore, no guilt necessary because I am learning something from it. Make sense?
Yes, but I was wondering why are we have here in our planet the judicial systems, the law system. Because
why do you have it?
Yeah, because
you don't know how to behave, because you don't know who you are. So you have to tell someone how you should behave so you won't kill each other.
Okay, how this works in your planet?
We don't have that because we know who we are. We value everyone as an individual and know that they belong, and thus we operate on pure synchronism. Everything is exactly happening exactly the way it needs to, when it needs to, with whom it needs to.
Okay, so
we don't need anyone to tell us how to do it because it's innately within us. It's innately within all of you. It's just that we're reminding you of that fact and helping you awaken to that fact so you can experience the same thing that we do if you prefer to.
But this judicial system wouldn't be reinforcing the guilt, the system of guilt?
Well, of
Here in our
course,
planet.
I'm not saying that you don't exude the guilt into all the systems on your planet. Of course you do, because you are creating them in your image. So if you feel guilt, you're going to create a system that perpetuates the idea because you don't want to feel alone. Remember when we said misery loves company? So if you believe that you are unworthy, you are only capable of creating systems that reinforce unworthiness. You can't create something you're not the vibration of.
So how can we create a new system?
Shall I repeat the formula again? You validate every single individual difference. You act on your highest passion. You be yourself as fully as you can. And that's all it takes to start the ball of synchronism rolling if more and more people are willing to do that.
Okay.
And not be in fear. Yes?
Yes.
That's all it takes.
Okay.
When you see how easy this is and how easy it's always been, you'll all shock yourselves. Why didn't we do this sooner? It's really not difficult at all. You've just been taught to believe that it is. So you think it's going to be a struggle to change that. It's not. It's not.
I find myself it's not trying, working on changing my beliefs.
Yes, well, that's the point.
Yeah, but it's hard. It's really
That's a
hard.
belief. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's not a fact that it's hard. It's an opinion that it's hard. It's a perspective that it's hard. It's a belief that it's hard. It's not a fact.
Okay.
That's where you all get yourselves into trouble. When you think the things coming out of your mouths are facts. There's no such thing as an inherently difficult situation. It's just that when you believe it's difficult, you can only experience it that way. Therefore, it shouldn't be surprising that you think it's hard, but you have to understand that the only reason you experience it that way is because you thought, you believed, you defined it to be hard to begin with. It's the definition that creates the experience. An experience might reinforce a definition, but the definition had to be there first in order for you to have any experience at all. If there was no definition, there would be no experience. So when you hear yourself saying things like, but it's hard to change, stop yourself, catch yourself, listen to yourself, and go, wait a minute. That's not a fact. It's something I've been taught to believe is true. And I don't have to believe that.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
All right.
Thank you.
Sound like a bunch of balloons popping.
Okay. Happy birthday, Bashar.
Thank you and good day.
I would like to ask you, what can I do to help humanity and myself to reach a higher level of conscience?
Are you acting on your highest passion every moment that you can with no insistence on the outcome? Hesitation usually means no.
As much as I can, I do.
That's all you need to do.
Yeah,
That's
sometimes
all
you have to do what you have to
need
do.
to do. Do the best you can. Keep looking for ways to do better and just do the best you can. That's all you need to do. You get to decide what your passion and your expressions are. And that's all it takes, is the willingness to continue to grow and be more and more capable, more and more willing to act on your passion sooner and sooner and sooner. That's all it takes. It's that simple. It really is that simple. And when you understand it's that simple, you will realize that a lot of these questions are not different questions. They're the same question in different clothing. And they have the same answer.
That's how I feel when you're answering her.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because it is the same question. So it's going to have the same answer. Go to the instruction manual. Follow the formula. We're giving you the instruction manual because that's what works. We're not hiding anything from you. We're not going to tell them about this. This is too good. We'll keep this to ourselves. Their planet can't possibly understand this. Too good for them because they're all so guilty. And do we feel guilty about not giving them the instruction manual? No! Because we are giving you the instruction manual. All of it. Understand, please. Understand. When we talk about these principles as an instruction manual, and maybe this illustration will help crystallize this for you in your reality, it is no different than an instruction manual someone would give you to learn how to operate a piece of machinery or drive one of your automobiles. It's no different. When you actually follow the instructions precisely, you will get the effect the instructions are designed to deliver. Just like when you learn to drive an automobile, someone hands you a key. Oh, what's that do? Look at the instruction manual. I'm supposed to put this in this slot called an ignition. Oh, now I'm supposed to turn it. I should hear the engine start. Oh, I do. Now I will step on this pedal called a brake. Yes, I'm following the instruction. Oh, now I shift this stick into this gear called drive. Yes. Now I take my foot off the brake carefully. I step on this brake called the gas pedal carefully. And oh, look, the car is moving. I wonder why the car is moving. I guess I must have followed the instructions. That's all you need to do.
I love you.
We love you too. That's why we are giving you something that is so simple, so easy, so much fun, and reminding you that it isn't any more difficult than that. Yes, we understand that you might need practice, just as you might need practice to drive one of your automobiles, but that's okay. Just because you need practice doesn't mean that there are any more instructions in the manual for how to operate the car. Everything else is just about getting used to the idea of how driving the car needs to be done in a social context that allows everyone to operate in the most synchronous way. But synchronicity is part of the instruction manual. So if you just drive the car in the way you were instructed, and you are the person that you need to be driving the car, then you will experience the interaction in a positive, beneficial way, no matter how it looks, no matter what happens. Because remember, it's not about what happens. It's about what you do with what happens that matters.
Yeah.
Yes?
Absolutely.
Does this help?
A lot.
All right.
And I have another question.
Yes.
It's integrated with this one too. I believe that we came in general to help each other.
Yes.
To accelerate this.
You are all mirrors for each other, of course.
Yeah, but I believe too that you in particular, which one in particular have like a specific purpose that we came here.
Yes.
On top of that.
But that's your theme. But your purpose is to be yourself. That's your purpose. To be yourself as fully as you can. There are many ways to express your purpose. But those are expressions of your purpose.
Is
the
there
passion.
an expression that I came to do that I'm not doing yet?
Are you following all the passions you can possibly be aware of? Are you doing the things you are passionate about? Yes or no?
Yes. Yeah.
Then that's it. If there are other things that are reflective of your passion, won't they be revealed to you in proper timing as opportunities by the organizing principle of synchronicity?
Yes.
Then there you go. If you are doing everything and acting on it to the best of your ability of everything you're aware of right now, what more could you possibly be doing? Nothing.
Practicing the gift that you just gave us today.
All right then. That's your next step perhaps for you.
That's my next step, exactly.
All right. Well, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. And I have one more question.
Do
I
you?
would love to help the people in my native language to
Yes.
know more about the Sasani principles and
Yes.
level of consciousness. How can I do that?
Well, there are many ways. Obviously, you can explain it to them in your own language. Yes?
That's
No?
how I would like to know how I could do that. Yeah, I can
What do you
explain
mean?
them.
You have a mouth.
Yeah, I could do.
Or you can also discuss with the organization that handles the information how they may assist you in providing such information or
Alright.
such translations of the information.
Exactly, that's what I wanted.
Well, then you have to take it up with the people on
I
Earth.
feel that they are very thirsty for those things and they don't have so much access because of the language, the
Then
barrier of the
you may
language.
be the one that helps create more access to it by working with the people who have been assigned to do that.
Okay,
Yes?
yeah,
All right.
perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, Tadeo.
Nania,
Happy birthday.
thank you. Is it time for your nourishment already?
Well, it may be, unless you want to do some more people. It's about 12 o'clock.
Are you all hungry?
How many more names?
Why don't you start with one and we'll see how it goes.
Okay. Alexis Walters. She's coming. So are you having a fun day?
Always.
But isn't this like a super fun day?
Always.
So does it ever just keep getting better and better?
Always.
That's the nature of existence, isn't it?
Yes.
Except you can feel it because you don't think neurotic thoughts.
Is that fun for your people?
Well, we've honed it to a fine art.
All right, yes. You do realize that we call you the masters of limitation, yes?
Yes.
All right.
Anyway, we're glad to have your non-neurotic consciousness to interact with. It's so incredibly balancing. Thank you.
Well, you're the one balancing yourselves. We thank you for taking the cue.
Thank you, Bashar.
Hello.
And you, good day.
You have spoken about this lifetime, there being an opportunity for people to explore another theme without dying.
Yes.
Can you
That's one
speak
of
more
the
about that?
themes of this lifetime, that you can change themes without dying.
And how would that look exactly?
Synchronistically, it will come to you.
Okay.
Remember that your theme is usually represented by the kind of challenges that crop up in your life. So suddenly you would start having a different kind of a challenge. You would recognize that the subject matter has shifted.
Okay. And so it would just be a lengthening of the actual lifespan in terms of linear time?
Depends on the theme.
Okay.
Sometimes you can have several themes within what might have originally been the lifespan. Sometimes you will extend the lifespan in order to accommodate the additional themes. It just depends.
And that could include like going to other planets and...
Well, maybe. Depends. For some of you, this will be a reality. Not for everyone yet.
Sure. Okay. And my other question is about the mechanics of the splitting of timelines into parallel realities.
Yes.
And, hi, and how that would work. So if I'm
It's
shifting,
resonance.
okay.
Resonance. Similar again to the idea that there are different frequencies for television programs that come through the same television. When you change the channel, you're on a different frequency, yes?
I guess my question is more in relationship to people in your life that may be not going to that same frequency. So in other words, if I switch frequencies and I'm switching to a parallel reality where I'm living my highest excitement, is that going to be a reality where everyone I know is also living their highest excitement, or will
No,
people
not necessarily.
fall away?
Not
Okay.
necessarily. If someone hasn't chosen to have a representation of themselves in that reality vibration, you may never see them again.
Okay, and that's as simple as it would be, that they would just fall away from my life.
Yes.
Okay.
It can be that simple. Where did George go? I don't know. Haven't seen him in ages.
So we would actually think to ask that question, it wouldn't just
Not
be...
necessarily. You might, but you might not. There just may be a reality where there never has been a George.
Okay.
So you wouldn't think to ask the question. It depends on how solidly you create the new history for yourself and what
Okay.
you need to know about the other one or don't need to know about the other one.
And final question. My husband and I have small children, and so a lot of times...
You mean like this?
Yeah, very, very small, 2 inches.
Well, you must have to be very careful moving around the house.
We do. It's a lot of concern. So there are often things that need to be done, of
Yes.
course, like in anybody's life,
Yes.
that feel like they're not my highest excitement,
Then
but
maybe you're not doing them in the most exciting way you could be, or you're not allowing your excitement to attract someone who would find it exciting to help you do those things.
okay, I get that.
That can be part of the definition of your excitement, you know.
Okay, so really just working with either creating a different excitement or redefining how I'm doing what I need to do currently. Okay, perfect.
Because remember, the total definition of excitement is to not only do the thing that excites you, but do it how it excites you, where it excites you, with whom it excites you. Do you understand? All the components have to be equally exciting, and that can open you up to a number of different ways of experiencing your excitement and attracting what you need to continue to be allowed to experience your excitement if it is truly necessary. But first and foremost, always make sure you're not the one dampening your excitement with a definition that doesn't allow you to do it in a way that could be exciting. Just because you have preconceived notions of, well, everyone knows this can't be exciting. No, everyone doesn't know that. You have to use your imagination to find out if it really isn't reflective of your excitement to do it this way, or if you're the one coloring it just because you have certain definitions that aren't allowing you to see how it could actually be one of the most exciting things you could be doing.
Okay, great.
Just needs honest self-evaluation, that's all.
Okay,
Does
thank
that
you
help?
very much. It does help.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you.
So, another question?
One more.
Okay. Nicole D. with a heart. So I just wanted to mention, this is kind of cool, because she just came over to me and she handed me a question, and she said, I really wish you could ask this question for me.
All
So,
right.
that was cool.
Hello, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
I'm so happy. Finally, I got it.
All right.
I can speak with you. I have a question. Have I been abducted?
Yes. Thank you, goodbye.
Could you tell me which age I was?
Oh, it started somewhere around 7. A lot of them happened between 7 and 13 to 16 or so. It is tapered off, but there have been a few as an adult.
Phew, wow. Do I have any device chip in me right now?
Any device?
Yes, chip or any chip.
Not in the way that you understand that. That technology is outdated. The idea is that all it requires now is a simple, slight alteration of your genetic material to be able to track you anywhere.
I wanted to ask about my very strange experience that I have when I go to sleep.
Yes, what is that?
Between I fell asleep, I have a feeling that something comes into me or through me.
Well, it's a vibrational energy that is usually representative of shifting from one dimension to another. Sometimes people will feel it as a presence, sometimes they will feel it as paralysis, sometimes they will feel that they are expanding or contracting, or the temperature may be changing or shifting, or you can feel it in any number of ways, but it's usually representative of shifting dimensional frequencies.
So it's good.
Well, it's what gets you where you need to go.
Wow. So why is it so painful?
Because you're not used to it and you're resisting it because you don't understand what it is. If you just let go, it won't be painful.
And another feeling that I had a couple times, that I was sitting in my room, and then I could see myself being somewhere else at the same
Yes.
time, and then somewhere else, and then come back.
Yes. Well, again, you're expanding your consciousness, which allows you to see multiple versions of different realities overlapping simultaneously. It's one of the side effects of the expansion of consciousness, to be capable of perceiving more than one version of yourself in one time frame or another.
Well, can I be confused or lost somewhere between?
Can you be confused about what?
I mean,
Speak up, speak up.
what if I'm in the room and then I end up being somewhere else?
So what?
How do I get back?
By seeing yourself back in the same way you saw yourself somewhere else. You're gaining practice at learning how to move in the spirit world more easily, in another dimension more easily, just by thinking about where you wish to be and being there. You're not going to get stuck.
Okay.
As soon as you think about being back, you'll be back.
Okay. And my friend asked me about the Great China Wall. Who built the Great China Wall and why? Could you share
Who
that?
built the Great Wall of China?
Yes.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say the Chinese.
Because Russians claim they did it.
There was cooperation, yes.
Oh.
And they did it to generally keep foreign invaders out.
Okay.
Does that help you?
Yes, perfect. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome.
Thank you.
Pleasant dreams. At this timing, it would be beneficial for you to go and nourish your bodies, and then you can come back and we will resume the transmission that may help nourish your souls.
So we will reconvene at 2:15. See you all then.
And my dream